From the Tennessee Valley Weather Channel, this is your evening update.
Hey folks, good evening. Hope you took full advantage of those nice conditions out there today. It was a little breezy out of the south. Let's call it gusts to 10 or so, 15 miles an hour. And it was pretty warm, and that's actually a sign of the times, right? We got that moisture surging in, and off to our west, where we've already seen some severe thunderstorm watches. That's going to be that bulk of heavy thunderstorms moving through over the next 6 or so hours. So again, through now, we're not seeing too much going on across the area. It's going to be, like I said, late tonight, early tomorrow morning, as that pushes on through. I'm going to call it 11 to 1 for the bulk of these heavy thunderstorms moving into the core of our areas, so northeast Mississippi, southern middle Tennessee, and northwest Alabama. You see some pretty decent cores in there, right? So we're definitely going to see some heavy downpours in there, perhaps some isolated gusts up to 50, 60 miles an hour. We'll watch that very carefully. Looks like as this is moving through, models are kind of consistent in the fact that this is kind of the weak last gasp of those storms. By sunrise, the heavy stuff is pretty much out of here past I-65. Winds are now out of the west and northwest, and we got that fall-like weather really settling in. Showers might linger for the first half of the day. You notice them kind of scattered across the area, but by the PM hour, so after 12 o'clock or so, I'd say that's when we really start to dry out and stay in the 60s there. Winds out of the west at 15, maybe 20 miles an hour will lead to feeling, kind of cool out there. It'll actually feel pretty nice if you're a fan of that fall-like weather, and we pretty much totally dry out. Good stargazing conditions tomorrow as that moisture just totally gets sapped. So let's get past these heavy thunderstorms. Very low risk of a tornado. A brief one can't be ruled out. They never can, especially if you get an updraft or you get a wind surge and you get just the right terrain influences, right? You never can exactly rule that out. But it's a very low threat. This is not a tornado outbreak type situation by any stretch of the imagination. The main threat that we're watching is the relatively low but chance for the isolated thunderstorm wind gusts up to 50 or 60 miles an hour. That would be enough to maybe bring a tree down, and of course, if it falls on a power line or something, that's, impactful, right? That cuts your power. So we'll watch that. It's a low chance. We're about a level 2 out of 5 for that, but it is possible, certainly. Hail is a very minimal threat. Isolated spots maybe up to pea size, but with these lines, you really just don't see hail. So I'm not going to call this a major hail threat. Flooding, some localized street flooding is possible because of these heavy downpours. You could get some pretty heavy rain rates within those, and especially in the western portions of southern middle Tennessee and north Alabama, well, we could see, where the drought is and where that moisture doesn't absorb so quickly, some localized street flooding and lower spot flooding as well. But after this big, spike in rain chances, 90 to 100% as this moves through, we actually have a relatively dry week coming up here. You'll notice Tuesday, that's another secondary cold front. Some stray showers do look possible with that. Besides that, I'd say next weekend is going to be our next more relatively substantial rain chance. I do see a signal for some isolated thunderstorm activity possible there, but the work week, actually looking pretty good. Look at those upper 60s and lower 70s. Man, I'll tell you what, that front really brings us down as far as temperatures are concerned. Still relatively mild for this time of year, but honestly, a really nice stretch of weather. Look at those lows in the 40s. Very likely that we'll see some upper 30s in some of the cooler spots in the midweek.